welcome to episode 14 of Brokers and Booze. My name is Chris Ward, broker in charge of Eagle Realty, and I got with me to my right
Billy Yates with Sands Realty,
and Nick Sowers with Beach Connection Realty.
All right, here we go. We are in the month of February, so we thought, I think of February, I think of Valentine's Day, I think of wine. That's why I wanted to bring a wine for us to try here. We have a Sauvignon Blanc from Forbidden Vines. It's a WineText exclusive. I think I picked this up for about $10. Retails at about $30.
I think
WineText.com. If you guys are not on WineText, if you're a wine lover or you like Gary Vee, WineText.com.
Was it like $50 normally, and then you get it for a one-day discount?
It's a good way to go broke. It's a really good way to go broke and to have fully stocked wine cellars and shelves at your house.
Yep, excellent.
It's an investment that you can drink.
Yeah, and then if you always have extra wine laying around, then you always have a gift if you're going somewhere.
That's really what we use. We use a lot of WineText at our rental company as gifts for our clients or guests or that kind of stuff, because you can buy in bulk.
You guys are bougie.
Free shipping.
Free shipping on a case.
Oh, really? Sometimes 6 or more.
Yeah, but
sometimes 12 mostly 12 or more.
Yes.
Yeah. So all right, we're gonna try it, boys.
So we try a little.
I don't know. Is my glass in there?
I'm not a massive white wine fan. So
you're not. No. Sauvignon.
But I don't dislike it.
Cheers.
Like Chris and tequila.
Smells sweet.
It is sweet. Blanc.
Sour.
We actually broke this out at the Eagle Realty Christmas party.
Ooh,
had a couple bottles.
It's not what I expected.
Green apple.
Yeah.
Granny Smith.
Yeah. A little hint of apricot maybe on the back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really,
we had that white wine a couple episodes ago that had a lot more honey and apple crisp on the front.
That was really sweet.
I'm going to get in trouble with this episode because...
Oh, no. Here we go.
You got to kill the bottle there?
No, because there's nothing dry about this, but it's not sweet either, so it's definitely something you can get the wife on.
Hangs right in the middle. Like this is that type of wine to me. So like like white wines, you don't need any big food pairings usually. Like you can be a lot subtle, fishes and chickens, all that kind of stuff. Whites with Sauvignon Blanc, but it's also like that 3 p.m., 2 p.m. beach. Like you can drink it kind of any time. You don't need that heavy like red
for a
whites. Yeah,
good seafood wine.
Mm-hmm. Good for breakfast.
Oh, we should have kept some of the crab cakes from the Super Bowl.
Oh, we have some.
Did we?
See you next episode.
Wow.
Yeah. If you are going to pair this with a crab cake, have it shipped in from Baltimore. Don't go with your local wherever you live.
The crab cake, he means.
Not good. Yes.
You mean have the crab cake shipped in?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Don't go with your local crab. I promise you it won't be as good.
Oh, you're going to offend. Somebody's going to be offended by that statement.
Yeah. And if you challenge that, certainly write in the recommendations your favorite local spot where you live.
We'll travel and try them.
Because Baltimore is by far my favorite. Where did we go, Nick, when we were last in Baltimore?
Well, we went to Bo Brooks the one time.
Sure.
And then I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the name.
I want
of
to
it.
make it a staple now.
Yeah.
Right there on the water.
Yeah.
By the marina.
Yep. And I mean, as long as they're using actual Chesapeake Bay crab and making the crab cakes and not having it imported from China or someplace like what you buy in a grocery store.
I mean, it was great.
No, that's Alaskan.
Like we had it at the Super Bowl. Nick had some shipped in for the Super Bowl party, and I had never had a crab cake with that kind of lump, like that size, and that lump crab cake, like that real, like what you would call like without filler.
There was no filler. It was all crab.
It was delicious.
Way to go.
It's delicious. All right, what do you guys think? Good. It's a good deal. It's $10.
$10.
Retails for $30. Yeah,
$10. I'll drink this at $10 all day.
Yeah,
this is if I'm having white wine at $10 a bottle. This is,
and we got 2 glasses out of this. So it wasn't your traditional 5-ounce pour.
It's 12.5%. It's from New Zealand.
That's the other thing with whites. Usually lower alcohol per volume on most white wines. Another reason why drinking it in the day isn't such a big issue, or a lunch wine or that kind of stuff. It's a 2017 Sauvignon Blanc, and like you said, look at the bottle. I read a stat that 95% of American wine drinkers choose it based on the
the look of the bottle.
I'm not gonna lie, I do the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good looking bottle.
Yeah.
I'd probably buy it just because it's definitely catch your eye in the store.
Yeah, I choose a lot of wines in the store based
name
on that.
or bottle.
Pick it up.
Name or bottle. I find me choosing off name sometimes.
Really, you choose off name?
No, not off like brand name. Like when they come up with creative names.
Yeah, like a creative name for the wine. Yeah, I get that. I can see that.
Yeah, not like the
forbidden vines.
Forbidden vines.
It's making noise. On
it says it's the seductive princess of the South, cool climate charm that lures you from the minute she passes your lips.
Like I said, Valentine's Day.
It's aromatic and tropical aromas of elderflower and passion fruit.
That's that elder.
Yeah.
That's what that. I always miss what that flowery smell is. That elderflower smell, which I think we might be.
We should really read the bottle before, but I guess it's not a true.
It's always better if we give ours than find out what they
find out what they say.
Yeah, find out how we're wrong.
Maybe they just missed something. I don't know.
Maybe we should be writing these for the bottles.
Maybe we should buy a vineyard. Who knows?
Somebody's going to reach out to us. Brokers and Booze sponsored. Right
There's probably brokers out there that specialize in vineyard purchases.
I bet.
I like that.
High specialty.
Let's get them on the
Valley.
show.
Niche business.
Let's get them on the show and see if we can conduct some business.
Yeah.
Oregon, Washington State, California.
North Carolina.
North Carolina has some. Didn't New Hampshire have a lot of?
Vermont up that way. Every state kind of has them now. Virginia, actually, the mountain area of Virginia, I've had some wine up there that's really starting to take off.
Not only California, Oregon.
The West Coast. I mean, is known for it, but I think, like you said, a lot of states. I mean, we have local vineyards here, so in South Carolina.
I have friends that prefer northern grape versus the southern. So to me, it all goes down the same. Cheers on that.
I'll help him with the cool bottle design. Marketing.
I'm one of those bottle pickers based on the artwork.
All right, so transitioning into, so we have a little bit of a real estate topic for today.
Yep.
We were going to talk about, you want to announce it?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. So we're going to talk about, has to do with, you're out there, you're getting appraisals done, especially if you're dealing with clients that get financing, they have to get a bank appraisal. And whether you be a listing agent or the buyer's agent, should you accompany the appraiser to when he goes to the house or to the property? And so I actually have accompanied an appraiser before to a property. Have you?
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah. So.
And recently, more so, especially I think in markets that are where our market's at, and a lot of local markets out there, it becomes. Not that you're trying to sway or defend the contract price, but because of the subjectiveness of appraisals, I think that, and if you have a unique property or features in the property or, different things that differentiate you from comps that may be out there to other properties around yours that you're trying to sell, I think it's a good idea to make sure that those aren't overlooked.
I think there's the flip side to it as the buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. You're looking to try to find if there's something wrong with the property, and you're trying to point that out to the appraiser.
Bring the inspection report.
Yeah, you bring the inspection report, and let's just make sure the appraiser sees all that. Make sure they realize it isn't exactly the same as the next house down the street. So.
Right, or on the contrary, if your seller or did a lot of extraordinary updates to it, so you might want to point that out to prove why the buyer saw value in it.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. I've had a lot of conversations with appraisers. I think that's a big thing. They'll tell you this isn't a perfect science what they're doing. There is a subjectiveness to it. They surprisingly rely on a lot of the same information we do as real estate agents, right. And that information, if certain stuff isn't stressed or put out, like listings, because there's so much difference in how people describe and detail they put in their listings. So they may be pulling this comp but not know because the listing agent just didn't put in there certain information about this property. That could be a comp that affects your property because they view them as the same when this one here may have sold for $20,000 less, but it didn't have these couple items that your house has, but the appraiser has no way of knowing.
Yeah, I get calls all the time from appraisers because I do a lot of business in a particular resort, and they'll ask me, "Hey, why did this one sell for $150 and that one sold for $220?" And they're the same layouts and everything. You just got to kind of point out the facts and whatnot. So
that's a pretty.
Yeah,
70,000. You're pointing out a lot.
and then I go and buy one at 110. So
Well, I think I've also seen, and like you said, I've had appraisers speak at sales meetings at our company as well, and they are using MLS data, and I think that puts a lot of pressure on us as real estate agents and brokers to put correct information in the MLS because they're pulling from the same sources. Square footage is huge. Features, especially if they're doing kind of drive-by outside. Yeah.
So I'm guilty of not putting enough information in. I can tell you that. When it comes to the descriptions and all that, I am guilty of not putting enough.
Because you already have the buyer before it hits the MLS.
Either that or because
it doesn't even have a photo.
Well, my whole thing is I'm always like, well, the real buyer, because I don't think about it from the appraiser perspective. I think about it from the buyer's walking through the house anyway. They're going to know. They don't need me to describe it has stainless appliances. They can look and see it has stainless appliances.
Let's be honest, Nick. You just think Zillow's stealing your information. Being syndicated from our MLS.
Actually, I would gladly give all my information to Zillow. I am not an anti-Zillow.
Different topic. Anyways, so, but yeah, I think with that, but that's a good point because I think there are a lot of real estate agents like that don't enter viable, and it comes more in this type of market that it does need to be when we're at kind of top market ends and trying to defend movement for prices and movement for sales prices, and lenders are looking for ways to not loan more than the value. Like I'm running into that right now, that lenders are there's a time frame where the same kind of thing, prices skyrocketing, market values going up, buyers want to buy and that kind of stuff, and lenders were just happy with getting the contract price and that kind of stuff. I feel like they're pushing, probably because of 08, 09, and pushing like, no, we don't mind it. They don't like
and you know what? The lenders are more educated nowadays. They have software that's sitting there saying like, oh, this is where the market's at, and we're seeing stuff within statistical ranges where they're like, we don't feel this has moved this.
Right.
Like you may send over our contract 15 grand higher, and it's like their statistical programs telling them, their algorithms telling them it shouldn't be 15 grand higher right now based on what's going on in the market.
And we're seeing a lot of that pushback. I'm seeing it very recently, seeing a lot of the pushback from the lenders and appraisals not meeting and not coming in and coming in. I guess where I get a little upset is when it comes in where you can kind of prove that there should have been this percentage of movement, and it's still not quite meeting that. Like and there's no way to argue it though. Like I can't get, especially on the seller side, to get to. I mean, obviously I can't really get to the appraiser as much, or get to the lender even to try and combat it. It doesn't seem like a lot of recourse, I feel like, for agents and brokers when appraisals aren't hitting close to or the right mark
what do you
deal together.
I've appealed them certainly, and 9 times out of 10. It's stuff that they overlooked or were not made aware of.
So you've had a good success rate in appealing.
Yeah, right.
So, okay. And I think it depends on the situation. I've definitely seen that and I think it depends on the appraiser. I mean, here's a trend I've noticed recently. I've seen a lot more appraisers come in where you have out-of-town appraisers appraising property in our market. Mm-hmm. And it's because there's these national services they sign up for or whatever, and somebody can come in our market and I'm going to go down to Myrtle Beach for a week and I'm going to do 6 appraisals versus the person that lives here that understands the product and stuff more. Yeah,
built.
So I've noticed that. I've noticed I struggle with them a little bit more in like having a real conversation with them, because like I said, a lot of appraisers, if you talk to them, as long as you're not demanding of them, but you talk to them like, hey, this is one educated person talking to another, they will take some of what you say into consideration. Well,
I know at the like I said, I had an appraiser actually at our start of the year meeting in January, and we were just talking, and there's no standard of practice. There's no sheet that says this view is worth this much, this appliance is worth this much, this countertop's worth this much as a value add to it. So because of the subjectiveness, I mean, while all appraisals should be probably within a good range numerically, like as far as price point wise, but there's a lot of times where I thought we were saving something bottle. There's a lot of times. What? There's a lot of times where where this appraiser will put this value on a golf view unit, and a different one's going to put this value on that same view because there's no list that says, hey, there's no standardized like this.
So I have a great example.
Your swimming pools go back for it too.
Yeah, I got a great example right now of what he's saying. You probably run into it where in the resort where you sell. We just recently purchased a unit on the 12th floor, south facing in a building down here. And it's ocean view. It's on the side of the building. It has amazing view down the coastline. Because you're looking over top the buildings. Like you go down and you get a 6th floor unit. Dude, that unit ain't going to bring the value the 12th floor is because you're staring at a building beside you instead of looking down the coastline.
And as a buyer, I would see value definitely. As a bank,
but a bank's probably not.
Or an insurance company because they're looking at replacement costs. So.
Yeah, I can see that. And as an appraiser, I don't really know. Do I give that 5,000? Do I give that 10,000? Well, like, what's the value on it? What's the value of the view?
And the reality is, depending on how that property is marketed and managed from a rental standpoint, it may not have a different rental income. Even though it has a better view, it may generate the same rent as the unit with the less view. So you can't even rely on an income approach to increase your value.
Second floor, 20th floor. They generate the same typically if they're the same condition.
Typically,
So this happened. So what do we? I would be interested to know kind of any real estate agents that's watching this or listening to this, what your opinions are, what issues you've ran into with appraisals recently, and then some of us that have been in the business. I mean, like I've been through this cycle before. Well, most of us have sitting at this table, but we've been through this cycle before. Well, you were a little bit on the bank side, probably through that time frame, and trying to defend contract prices if you're a listing agent or even buy. I mean, because most. If we've gotten to contract, if we've gotten to the appraisal point, then we've had a meeting of the minds that the buyer sees enough value to pay this much, and the seller sees enough to say
market value.
But I think sometimes the appraisal is there to protect the bank.
Protect the bank, right?
But it's also sometimes there to protect the buyer because sometimes people just want what they want and they're like, I don't care, I'll pay that much more for it.
Well, they have to see a value in it,
or just they love it that much, they're willing to pay that much more because the market. Value. Correct, but it doesn't mean the bank wants to lend 95% of that increase.
Well, I mean, see, but that's weird to me because, like I said, we went through. Not weird to me. I understand because we saw the collapse, but at the same time, if you're that far apart of a value or you can't work that out, I mean, then no one's won. The seller is going to be kind of messed up because now we just had an appraisal, which should be a good, a balance, a base of what the property is actually going to appraise for within 1% or 2%, even if another appraiser does it.
Your broker's opinion.
And now your list price, now the seller's mad because their value's down. The buyer doesn't want to pay more than the bank's going to loan them or that it appraises for, so they're not going to go through with the deal. So not only did you lose a deal, but you may have lost potential future deals and the seller takes the listing off the market. Now nobody's won. The bank didn't make any money.
It's a topic we're not going to go down today, but it really does come into the effect where financing can affect the values of properties. The ability to finance the property can affect the value of the property.
I agree with that.
And that plays in, and that's directly related to our topic today, which is the appraisals, where they come in at.
Here's one: if you got a seller who thinks their property is worth X, and you are convinced it's 20% lower, do you go ahead and recommend an appraisal to get a third-party professional opinion?
That's one.
If they're open to it.
I've never done that. Like I've never had a seller get an appraisal, though. I think it's a great idea.
If your seller would be open to it, I would definitely consider it. If I can tell they're just closed-minded and it doesn't matter.
You refer the listing out.
I'm wasting my call me.
Absolutely. I've got a lot of time. None to waste.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. On that note, let's cheers out this nice Sauvignon Blanc appraisal talk.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll keep drinking.
Keep it classy.
We'll be drunk.
Not if he keeps giving us bottles.